Okay. Look at this. This will be the writing I'm talking about. The writing, you will have a topic, okay, and you will be asked to write, compare and contrast. Okay, what's compare? What's contrast? What do we mean by compare and contrast? By the way, if you go to the calendar, you will find at the right hand column, you will find this writing, compare and contrast. What's compare and contrast? To compare means to discuss how two people, places, or things are similar. If you compare two things, okay, this means that you show that they are similar. You show the similarity. Okay, أبين التشابه. For example, if you are comparing for example, Samsung mobile phone to iPhone, okay, what's similar? Both of them are mobile phones. Both of them you can use to make calls. On both of them you can connect to the social media. So you are talking about the similarities. You are talking about the similarities. What's similar between them? Okay. If you are comparing, for example, secondary school to university, you are a secondary school were a secondary school student, and now you are a university student. Okay, what are the similarities? At school and at the university, you are a student. You need to study hard. You take exams and quizzes. You take assignments and homework. Okay, so in both of them there are similar things. There are many similarities. So when we say compare, when we say compare, compare here means show the similarities. Okay, if we say contrast, to contrast means to discuss how two people, places, or things are different. If you contrast, means you show the differences. Now we said that Samsung mobile phones and iPhone, they are similar, right? Now we can say that what's different between them? What's different? We can say that iPhone mobile phones are more expensive than Samsung. So this is one of the differences. Okay, it's more secure. There is more security in iPhone. So this is one of the differences. Okay, so when we talk about the similarities, we compare. When we talk about the differences, we contrast. So this is the idea. If we say compare and contrast, okay, in your writing, you will have a topic, and I will ask you, I will show you how you will receive the question, or how the question will look like. Okay, you will have two topics. For example, we will have a look now at some different topics and examples, some examples for writing. Okay, so if we talk, for example, if I ask you to compare, okay, in the question I'll put something, maybe extroverts and introverts. Okay, and they'll ask you to write an essay. Write an essay of about 150 words. I write this. Comparing and or contrasting. Okay, what do we mean by and or contrasting? Okay, when I say comparing and or contrasting, it means we now we know that comparing means you talk about the similarities. Contrasting means you write about the differences. Okay, we said now to compare means to show what is similar. Okay, to contrast means to show what is different. So when I say comparing and or contrasting, it means that you can only compare. You can only compare. You can only write about the similarities, only. Or you can only write about the differences. So this is the meaning of comparing or contrasting. You write about similarities or differences. Okay? And the meaning of and means that you can write about both of them. You can write about similarities and differences. So in your writing, you will be free. You will be free either to compare or to contrast, either to write only about the similarities or to write only about the differences, or you can write about both of them, the similarities and the differences. Okay? So these are examples of compare and contrast topics. You can compare and contrast studying in your country and studying abroad. Studying in your country and studying abroad. What is similar? What's different? Living in a large city and living in a village. Using cash money, using a credit card, the role of a mother, the role of a father. So here, anyway, these are just examples. So as I said, you can compare or you can contrast or you can compare and contrast. Okay. If you are comparing, we said, if you are comparing, do you have any questions? If you are comparing, we said that compare means you talk about the similarities. Okay? If I compare, for example, if I compare cars to bicycles, okay? I compare cars to bicycles. If you compare, you show you show what's similar. How to write the sentence? How to write the sentence? You can use some words that can help you. You can use some joining words to help you. Like what? Like both?
Way of transportation.
Yes.
It's for transportation, both of them.
Yes. Okay. Here we want to put it in a good form, in a good style. So you can use both and. You can use similarly. You can use like. So that okay, to show that two things are similar. You can use also, you can use too, but let's talk about these three things: both and, similarly or similar to, like. Okay, both and. How to use both and? I can write the sentence like this. I can say both cars and bicycles are means of transport. Okay, both cars and the bicycles. So I used here both and. So here you can say both and يعني كل من كذا وكذا. Both cars and the bicycles are means of transport. If we talk about extroverts and introverts, you can say both extroverts and introverts need to have friends. Okay. Uh, if you talk about as we said, Samsung mobiles and iPhone, both Samsung and iPhone are, okay, kinds of mobile phones, okay, are used for making calls. So here you can use both. You put the first one and you put the second one. Okay. Uh, you can use similarly. You can say bicycles are means of transport. Similarly, similarly, cars are means of transport. You can use like. You can say like cars, bicycles are means of transport. So here you say like cars, bicycles are means of transport. So here you can use words like this, both and, similarly, like to. There are some more words, but I need to concentrate. You can use and, both, both and, also, to, similar to, okay, the same as, similarly. If you look at these words, all of them show that two things are similar. Two things are similar. Okay, but if you are contrasting, if you are contrasting means you are talking about the differences. You are talking about the differences between two things. Okay, so you can use more or less. For example, when we talk about iPhone and Samsung mobile phones, okay, we can say that iPhone, for example, iPhone are uh, okay, iPhone mobile phones are more expensive than Samsung mobile phone. Okay, so here when you say iPhone mobile phones are more expensive, so here we said more expensive. When you say more expensive, this means that two things are different. لما اقول ان شيء اغلى معناه ان هم مو متساويين ولا متشابهين. Okay, even when you use ER, for example, when you say a bicycle is cheaper than a car. If you use ER when you compare, this means that two things are different. Say they're cheaper, so they are different. Okay. Also, you can use but, while, although, however. Okay. Let me. I want to teach you this using although. although معناها على الرغم من. okay, we use although to join two sentences. We use although to join two sentences. okay, we write although with the first sentence and then you put a comma and you write the second sentence. okay, for example, if I say although بتستخدم for contrast للتناقض، سواء شيء واحد متناقض أو شيئين متناقضين. شلون شيء واحد متناقض؟ okay, for example, if I say although he studied art, he didn't get high marks. Although he studied hard, he didn't get high marks. okay, so here the first sentence is contrasted with the second sentence. النص الثاني من الجملة متناقض مع النص الأول. في مثال دايما يستخدم مع although، دايما في كتب الجرامر تشوفوه. although he is very rich, he is miserable. although he is very rich, he is miserable. بائس تعيس على الرغم انه غني جدا. في تناقض. يبقى اوكي، although بستخدمها to join two sentences they are contrasted with each other. طيب خلينا نرجع للجملة الأولى تاني. although he studied hard he didn't get high marks. اوكي، ايه اللي انا ممكن استخدمه بدلا من although؟ اوكي، ممكن استخدم but. اوكي، so خلي بالكم من شكل الجملة. اوكي، so I can say he studied hard but he didn't get high marks. So we can make the sentence like this. Look here, although here at the beginning of the sentence. Okay, and then you have the first one and the second one. Look at but. He studied hard here, but in the middle. But he didn't get high marks. Okay. Also, there is one more I want you to learn how to use. However. However معناها ومع هذا، يعني على الرغم من هذا. اوكي، شلون بستخدم however؟ اوكي، you write the first sentence، بكتب الجملة الأولى وأحط full stop، وبعدين أكتب however، وبعدين كوما، وبعدين أحط الجملة الثانية. خلاص، خلي بالكم عشان المفروض إحنا بنكتب كلام فيه دقة الحين. اوكي، if you use although ممكن although تيجي في الوسط but usually it's at the beginning of a sentence. You put although at the beginning, you put the first sentence comma, okay, and then the second one. But you use but in the middle between the two sentences because but join two simple sentences. However, if I want to use however, I write the first sentence. He studied hard. He studied hard. Okay? And put a full stop. And you start the second sentence with however. And you put a comma. And then you put the second sentence. He didn't get high marks. Okay? Full stop. I want you to look at I want you to look at the three forms. شوفوا الثلاث أشكال. ثلاث أشكال شلون الجملة تتركب. شكل الجملة مو المعنى. المعنى متشابه في الكل، لكن شكل الجملة واحنا بنكتب. Okay. If you write although, you put the first sentence, comma, and then the second one, or statement. With but, you put the first clause, but, and then the second clause. However, you put the first one, full stop. You put a full stop. Then, however, comma, the second one. Okay? We use the three of them, although, but, however, when we talk about things are different, when we contrast, talk about contrast, about the differences or contrast. Okay? You remember when we said, when we talk about similarity, okay, and we said that like, now we are talking about similarities, like extroverts, okay, like extroverts, introverts need friends. احنا ما قلنا ان الانتروفيرتس ما عندهم اصدقاء، قلنا ان عندهم اصدقاء بس قليلين. خلاص، فهنا في تشابه، ففي التشابه حطينا ايه؟ like. قلنا like extroverts introverts need friends. اوكي. طيب لو انا هتكلم على كونتراست، على الاختلاف مو تشابه، بدل like اخليها ايه؟ unlike. unlike يعني على العكس. اوكي. unlike extroverts, introverts have few friends. Okay? Unlike extroverts, introverts have few friends. على العكس من extroverts, introverts عندهم few friends. على العكس، يبقى نفهم ايه من الجملة؟ نفهم ان introverts have few friends but extroverts have many friends. Okay? يبقى هنا like الأولى بتبين ان هم similar، وunlike بتبين ان هم ايه؟ different. يبقى like استخدمها في الفقرة الخاصة بcompare، وunlike استخدمها في الفقرة الخاصة بايه؟ contrast. لان احنا قلنا compare means we talk about similarities، وcontrast we talk about differences. Okay. بعد من الاشياء احنا ما بناخد كل شيء، لكن من الاشياء الممتازة اللي المفروض تتعلموا وتستخدموها اللي هي كلمة while و whereas. اتنين معناهم بينما. اوكي. while whereas، وبنستخدمهم بينما معناها ان اكيد contrast، بالتناقض. اوكي. في الاختلافات. let us see an example. اوكي. extroverts on impulse. You remember that when we were talking about extroverts, we said that extroverts act on impulse. بيتصرفوا ايه؟ on impulse، تصرف تلقائي سريع، رد فعلهم سريع. whereas or while، I can say whereas or while introverts think before they act. والجملة شلون اتركبت؟ يبقى extroverts act on impulse whereas بينما introverts think before they act. So you can say while introverts think before they act, or you can say whereas. احنا بنتكلم دلوقتي في ليفل اعلى شويه من اللي احنا كنا بنتكلم فيه. احنا بنتكلم في ليفل ان احنا نكتب جمل طويله واسلوب اقوى، اسلوب formal language. Okay, so when you talk about different things, you can say they are different. You can say unlike. Unlike shows that they are different. You can use but. You can use however. You can use while. You can use whereas to show that two things are different. Okay. If I say, for example, iPhone mobile phones are have good security, whereas Samsung mobile phones have low security applications. Okay, so you are comparing. When you use whereas, it means that you are showing the differences. Okay, so again, I said again, let us go back again. We said when you compare, you show that two things or two people are similar. When you contrast, you show two things are different. انا قلت لكم من شوي ان في الاختبار بيجيكم موضوع، خلاص انتوا حرين قرروا. خلاص قلت لكم انا هكتب لكم صيغه السؤال بالطريقه اللي انا قلتها من شوي. compare and or contrast. يعني ايه compare and or؟ يعني انت قرر تحب تكتب بس compare المتشابه، اوكي. تحب تكتب بس المختلف، اوكي. تحب تكتب الاثنين، اوكي، انت حر. هي بس one paragraph وintroduction وconclusion، بيطلع 3 paragraphs very short. اوكي. Look at these are examples. Okay, here we want to use both and. We want to talk about cell phones. Cell phones mean mobile phones and computers. So you can say both. Cell phones and computers will work without a power source. So both and ممكن تستخدمها في حياتك اليومية. Both Ali and Muhammad are my friends. Okay. To access the internet at any laptop, to access the internet on my laptop, I need to connect to a wireless signal. اكيد يعني عشان تستخدم الانترنت محتاج wireless signal. طب مين اللي يتشابه مع كده؟ Similarly, my cell phone needs to connect to a network. So here means both of them need network to connect to the internet. So they are similar. So when we say similarly, this means that you are comparing. This means that you are talking about similarities. Okay, I pay a monthly fee for both my cell phone and my internet services. So when you say both and, when we say similarly, when we say both, this means that we talk about similar things. But these ones you use when you talk about contrast. Two different things. Okay, when you talk about two different things, you talk about, say, different from, you say whereas, you say however, you say but. يبقى التشابه لها كلمات معينة انت بتستخدمها. لو الاشياء متشابهة تستخدم زي and, both and, also, to, similar, the same, similarly. Okay, if you talk about differences, you use other words. When you say the climate in the northern region of my country، يعني الجو في المنطقة الشمالية من الدولة is very different from. يبقى أنت لما تقول different from you are contrasting. You are talking about the differences. It's very different from the weather in the southern region. Okay. In the north there are 4 distinct seasons. في الشمال في 4 فصول مختلفة. Whereas بينما whereas in the south of the country the seasons are not that different. Okay. So here anyway, I explained that before. We use these words to talk about differences. Okay. Now this is the layout. How to write. How to write the essay. Either you write 4 paragraphs or you write 3 paragraphs. If you write about the similarities and the differences, you need to write 4 paragraphs. If you write about only the similarities or the differences, you need to write 3 paragraphs. I'll show you. Okay, in all cases, you need to write introduction. Okay, after the introduction, you write a paragraph about similarities. And then you write a paragraph about differences. And then you put conclusion and your opinion. If I give you the freedom, I said you are free to write about both of them or write one of them. If you choose to write about similarities only, so you will write 3 paragraphs. Introduction, similarities, conclusion. If you want to write about differences only, also you will write 3 paragraphs. You will delete the second paragraph about similarities. Okay? So this is the full essay, 4 paragraphs. But as I said before, you can choose to write the full essay, 4 paragraphs, or you can choose to write about only similarities or only differences. With the introduction and the conclusion, it will be 3 paragraphs only. Okay? Look at this. This is a model. دايما في العربي في الانجليزي في اي شيء هيقول لك سوي introduction، صح؟ اكتب مقدمة. طيب how to write introduction. How to write introduction. Introduction should have 2 main ideas. If you want to write good introduction, the introduction should have 2 main ideas. Okay? It should show the topic. The introduction should show the topic. What are you going to write about? Maybe I'm going to write about the internet. So you say that you put a sentence about the internet. For example, I can say, our life nowadays depends on the internet. So if anyone reads this sentence, he will know that you are going to write about the internet. For example, if you are going to write about mobile phones, so write a sentence about mobile phones. For example, you can say, mobile phones have become very common nowadays. everyone has got at least one. So now you know that you are going to write about mobile phones. So put a sentence about the topic you are going to write about, so everyone knows what you are writing about. This is the first idea of the introduction. The second idea, okay, the second idea, how are you going to write about it? يعني ايه how are you going to write about it؟ يعني انا عرفت انك هتكتب على الانترنت، بس شلون هتكتب عنه يعني؟ من اي زاوية يعني؟ يعني ايه من اي زاوية؟ يعني ممكن تكتب لي على how it started، شلون بدأت فكرة الانترنت. You can write about the history of the internet. You can write about how it developed, how the internet developed، تطور الانترنت. You can write about the uses of the internet. You can write about the advantages of the internet. You can write about the disadvantages of the internet, right? You can write about using the internet in education. شوفوا كم فكرة طلعناها نقدر نكتب على الانترنت. يعني انا من النص الاول من المقدمة عرفت انك هتكتب على الانترنت، بس ما عرفت هاو، من اي زاوية انت هتكتب. يبقى لازم the first part of the introduction should tell me what is the topic you are writing about. انت قلت لي you are going to write about the internet، حطيت جملة على الانترنت، انا فهمت ان انت هتكتب على الانترنت، بس من اي زاوية بقى هتكتب عنه؟ لازم في النص الثاني اللي هي الثيسز تقول لي مثلا you can write there are many advantages for the internet. يبقى انا عرفت كده ان انت هتتكلم على ايه؟ advantages. اوكي، خلينا اديكم تجربة عملي. افترض ان احنا هنتكلم على ايه؟ الموضوع اللي مطلوب تكتبوه advantages. ده خارج الشرح بتاعنا، ده شيء اضافي اعلمه لكم شلون تنظم افكارك لما تيجي تعمل رايتنج. طلبوا منك انك تتكلم على advantages ايه of the internet. انت عارف ان لازم في الرايتنج تسوي introduction. اوكي طيب، حسب انا ما قلت لك سوي introduction فيها نصين. النص الاول the first part of the introduction show the topic، عرفني انك هتتكلم على انترنت. اوكي، يبقى نحط جمله فيها كلمه انترنت any sentence. ولو سؤال يبقى افضل، لو خليتها سؤال يبقى افضل. ليه؟ لان السؤال بيشد انتباه القارئ. اوكي، يعني ممكن ابدا بقول ايه؟ have you
use internet
or have you imagined، خلينا نكون خياليين شويه.
our
have you imagined yes your life without the internet? Because when you write a question like this, the reader will try to answer. القارئ هيحاول يجاوب عليه في مخه، فانت كده لفت انتباهه وشديته. Okay, have you imagined your life without the internet? Okay, the internet has become necessary. Okay, in every field of our life. لحد هنا انت you know that I'm going to write about the internet, but you don't know okay how I'm going to write about it. انت عرفت ان انا هتكلم عن الانترنت، بس شلون هتكلم عنه انت ما عرفته. هتقول لي باين؟ لا مش باين. اقدر اكتب لك 50 موضوع على نفس الفكرة. اقدر اقول مثلا ايه؟ okay however some people think
Use
it has many disadvantages. انت كنت متوقع ان انا اتكلم على advantage، لا انا غيرت لك الموضوع اهو. اوكي. Okay. However, some people think it has many disadvantages. يبقى انت now you know that I'm going to talk about the internet. How I'm going to talk about only the disadvantages. Okay. And I can ممكن اغير دي واخلي الموضوع يروح في اتجاه تاني خالص. Okay. In this essay ممكن اقول in this essay I'm going to talk about how the internet will be like in 50 years from now. شلون الانترنت هيتطور خلال 50 سنة من الآن. يبقى أنا أكتب موضوع غير تماما. Okay. In this essay I'm going to talk about how the internet started and developed. غيرت الموضوع. فهمتوا شلون يعني ايه اكتب introduction؟ اكتب introduction يعني بين لي جزئين. Topic, what and how. What and how. What means what are you going to write about? You are going to write about internet. How? In what way you are going to write about the internet? Are you going to write about how it started, the history of the internet, development of the internet, okay, how it became common all over the world? Are you going to write about the advantages of the internet, the disadvantages, the prospects of the future? So the second part of the introduction should show how are you going to write about this topic. Okay. طيب خلونا هنا نقرر نكمل شوية مع بعض في الفكرة دي. ركزوا معايا. خلينا نكمل شوية مع بعض في الفكرة دي. اوكي. خلينا نغيرها ونقول مثلا ايه. Many people think it has a lot of advantages. طيب. So I know now from this paragraph, I know from the introduction that you are going to write about the internet, and specifically you are going to write about the advantages of the internet. Okay. Now we'll go to paragraph 2. In this paragraph, which advantage are you going to write about? Okay. في advantages كتير للإنترنت. اختار واحدة واتكلم عليها في كل فقرة. واللي تختارها لازم تحطها في الجملة الأولى أو الثانية. عشان كده بيسموها topic sentence. Topic sentence means it shows what the paragraph is about. For example, I'll tell you, I'll say firstly, the internet is a good means of entertainment. Entertainment وسيلة ترفيه، تسلية. يبقى كل شيء هتكتبه في الفقرة دي خاص بدي، خاص تعمل supporting ideas، تأيد الفكرة اللي هو entertainment. يبقى دي اسمها ايه؟ topic sentence. Topic sentence means it shows the main idea or the topic of the paragraph. Okay, so I can write about it's a good means of entertainment. Why? You can listen to music, you can watch films, you can play games. Okay, so many things you can write. كل ده بيعمل support للفكرة الرئيسية اللي انت حطيتها في بداية الفقرة اللي هي entertainment. عشان كده دي بنسميها topic sentence، والجمل اللي تيجي بعدين نسميها supporting. عرفتوا شلون الموضوعات مو بس كده تمسك قلم وتكتب وخلاص. There is a system for writing. Okay, let's go back here. ايه رأيكم تاخدوا بريك؟ فاطمة، اوكي. دايما عندك مشكلة في امين دكتور أنا ما ادخل searching for network. امين عندك مشكلة في النتورك. اوكي. What do you prefer? To take a break now and then we complete? ها؟
بنخلص من وقت ولا ما بنخلص من وقت؟ يعتمد.
دكتور خلنا نخلص دكتور ما ندي بريك.
اوكي يا صالح، قد اعصابك. مصطفى قال اوكي خلاص.
لا دكتور احنا خلينا ناخذ
عليك.
بريك، لأن في الحالتين نخلص نفس الوقت، فخلنا ناخذ بريك.
ما لي وضع لي.
صالح خليك مع الأغلبية.
ايوه وياهم انا دكتور ما عليك. الامور طيبه.
Okay. Don't worry. I will not keep you late. Okay. خلاص عشان مصطفى ما يزعلش. Have a break. Fatma, I'm joking. I'm kidding with you. Don't take it serious. Okay. Take it easy. شفتوا مصطفى يعني opening his mouth, smiling. Okay, have a break and then after 10 minutes, 25 we will meet, inshallah. Okay?
اوكي شكرا دكتور.
Yeah, Okay. What I explained just now is very important for writing. So just keep in mind always. Keep in mind how to organize your writing. If you are writing an essay or something like that, it should be like this. You should put introduction, and we said the introduction has two parts, something general, and then the second part of the introduction, they call it thesis. Thesis. Thesis means the thing you are going to write about, the main point you are going to write about. Okay, then you write paragraphs. Each paragraph is about one specific idea, and you should put a sentence at the beginning of the paragraph. It shows the main idea of the paragraph. It is called topic sentence. Topic sentence. And the other sentences support this idea. As we said now, good means internet is a good means of entertainment. So this is the topic sentence. So give examples. Show us why the internet is a good means of entertainment. Support your idea. So the next sentences, we'll call them supporting ideas. Okay, this is how to organize your writing and how to organize and write the introduction and the paragraphs. Okay, let's go back to our topic. This is an example of compare and contrast. Of course, this is a very long one. You are not going to write all this. You are going to write only 150 words. So look at the introduction. Look at the note here. It says, the first sentence grabs the reader's attention with a question. قلت لكم أنا تقدر تعمل جملة عامة أو تقدر تعمل سؤال في البداية يعني to grab, to attract the attention of the reader. So here, what's he going to talk about? He's going to compare elementary school and middle school. Elementary school, something like primary school, and middle school, it looks like intermediate school. Okay. لو انا قلت لكم قارنوا لي بين المدرسه الابتدائيه والمدرسه الاعداديه، لو قارنتوا بين الاثنين اكيد في تشابهات وفي اختلافات. اوكي، يعني there are some similarities between primary school and intermediate school, and also at the same time there are differences. Okay, so let's have a look at the introduction. The writer here started the introduction with a question. What is it like to transition? Transition means to move. The word transition means to move from elementary to middle school. Okay, the question means how is it? How it looks like? Is it good or bad? How did you feel when you moved from primary school to intermediate school? Okay, so here from this question or from the first sentence, we know that the writer is going to write about elementary and the middle. So you know the topic. That's a question many kids ask each year. Having experienced both. احنا عرفنا انه هيتكلم على ايه؟ على elementary وميدل، بس ما عرفنا من اي زاوية. النص الثاني من introduction هو اللي بيبين من اي زاوية هتكتب عنهم. لازم تقول، مو لغز ولا فزورة للقارئ، لازم يعرف هيقرأ ايه. شوف الجملة الثانية مكتوب فيها ايه. Okay, I can tell you that there are plenty of. Plenty of means a lot of similarities as well as some very big differences between the two types of school. So now it's very clear. It's very clear. You know the topic. You know that the topic is elementary and model. And you know what, how is he going to write about them? How? He's going to write about what? Similarities and differences. يبقى introduction looks like a mirror. المقدمة نفس المرآة. It reflects what's in the writing or the coming paragraphs. Okay. طيب. يبقى هنا احنا from the introduction we know that he's talking about similarities and differences. Okay. هل انا مجبر ابدا بالsimilarities؟ لا. هل مجبر ابدا بدifferences؟ لا. يعني you are free. You can start talking about differences or you can start talking about similarities. بكيفك. بكيفك تقرر. بس مو بكيفك تخليها لغز للقارئ. انت قرر بس لازم تعرفني. لازم تعرفني الفقرة دي هتتكلم على ايه؟ على شنو؟ على similarities ولا differences؟ لازم تعرفني. مو انا اقرا وبعدين استنتج. لا لا. You should tell me from the beginning that this paragraph is about differences or this paragraph is about similarities. Look at the first sentence in the paragraph. Elementary schools and middle schools have many traits in common. Many traits means qualities, characteristic. Traits يعني خصائص. In common يعني similar. يبقى أنا عرفت من البداية إن this paragraph is about similarities. دي اللي قلنا عليها topic sentence بتبين what the paragraph is about. يبقى لازم من البداية تكتب تقول what the paragraph is about. It's about what? Okay. Read. I want you to read this paragraph. Read and find. Okay. Look here. The writer explains. Okay. Look here to the right. شوف التعليق هنا على اليمين. The topic sentence lets the reader know that this paragraph is about what the two things have in common. So the first sentence we call it topic sentence. And it shows that the writer is going to talk about similarities. And then the writer explains how the two things are similar. You read this paragraph. اقروا الفقرة وطلعوا لي what's similar. Okay. As you can see here, it's very simple. if think about yourself when you were in primary school and moved to intermediate. Okay, both open 5 days a week. المدارس كلها بتفتح 5 ايام في الاسبوع. ابتدائي اعدادي ده تشابه for a set of number of hours each day. Students sit at desks. طلبة بيقعدوا على طاولات سواء في intermediate, secondary, primary. So similarity, and are expected to listen and learn from their teacher. In primary school, they listen to their teachers and learn. In intermediate, in secondary, whatever. There is a set time for lunch. This is the break. There is a break. Each day, students are given homework assignments. In primary school, you had assignments or homework. In intermediate, you had homework or assignments, so similar. Students take quizzes and tests. Of course, in both schools, you had quizzes and tests. In all of these ways, middle school should feel somewhat familiar to new students. Okay, middle school, if you moved from primary to intermediate, you are familiar. يعني مو جديد عليك ان انت تبقى to be in a classroom with teacher, to have assignments, to have homework, to have tests, to have quizzes, because the same were there in the primary school. So here, this paragraph is about similarities. Now, we move to the differences. Okay, زي ما اتفقنا هتتكلم على differences، يبقى لازم الجملة الأولى تبين إن أنت هتتكلم على differences. However, there are some big changes that new middle school students should be aware of. Changes. If we say changes, changes mean that there are differences. Okay? In elementary school, اللي هي primary school, students usually stay in the same classroom with one teacher. فاكرين انتوا معلم الصف؟ خلاص اللي بيدرس معظم المواد. Okay, في الابتدائي. In the same classroom with one teacher for most of the day. That's not the case in middle school, where students typically have a different teacher for each subject. In intermediate school, you have Arabic teacher, English teacher, science teacher. There is a teacher for each subject. But in the first years of primary school, you have one teacher. So this is different. This is one of the differences. Students must move to a different classroom for each subject too. Since there is not one classroom in which to store supplies. طبعا هو بيتكلموا على سيستم كان موجود في البحرين في الثانوي من كام سنة، من عدة سنوات، إن المدرس يكون ثابت في الصف والطلبة يتنقلوا. يعني الصف ده مثلا انجلش، خلاص انت عندك انجليزي تروح، خلصت عندك ماث تروح صف ثاني، وبعدين اتغير السيستم وصار ثابت. اوكي. For middle school often provides students with lockers. You know, in some of our schools there are lockers for students. In primary school there are no lockers. For many kids, getting a locker is a welcome rite of passage. So here in this paragraph, the writer gave us some idea about the differences between the two types of schools. Okay. In the conclusion, the best conclusion, okay, In the conclusion, the writer shows why it is useful to know how the two things are different and alike. يعني what is the importance? What is the importance of talking about differences and similarities؟ يعني شنو اللي هنستفيده في الموضوع ده لما نتكلم على differences and similarities؟ وفي الآخر لو عندك معلومة إضافية حطها أو حط رأيك. Okay? Making the move from the elementary school to middle school may seem scary. يعني when some students become afraid, feel afraid when they move from one level to another. When they move from primary school to intermediate school or secondary school. But knowing what to expect can really help. But if you know what's similar and what's different between the two schools, it can help you understand the situation. Elementary school provides kids with the experience they need to be ready for middle school, even though moving on means adjusting to a new environment. Anyway, this is very long conclusion. We will write something very short. Okay? طيب شوفوا as we said, yes, غالي فاطمة I have two students who got the full mark. Okay? I want to say that. Anyway, just I'm proud of you. Anyway, now now this is the idea. Now you know how to write. Okay, it's very simple. Maybe the example we studied now. Okay, this one. It's a very long. Okay, but I'll give you a shorter example. Look at this example. It's about what? It's about
fast food.
differences and similarities between fast food and home cooked food. Okay, you can eat fast food in a restaurant, or you can eat your food that's cooked at home. So they are different. What's different? What's similar? So have a look at the introduction. Many people like to eat fast food, but some of them don't like it. In the past, the majority of people used to eat at home because there weren't many restaurants, and families used to prefer to cook at home. So in the past, as you know, there were not many restaurants. Restaurants were a few. So most people prepared food at home. So, however, now we can see restaurants everywhere, and mainly the fast food one. So now here, you know that the topic is what? The topic is fast food and homemade food. But again, you don't know what the writer is going to write about. عرفنا الموضوع، بس شلون بيتناول الموضوع؟ لازم ده نكتبه في الجملة الثانية في النص الثاني. عشان كده هو كتب بوضوح اهو. In this essay, I am going to compare and contrast between cooking at home and eating at fast food restaurant. Okay, this is the introduction. لو انت قررت تكتب compare بس السيميلاريتي بس يبقى هتقول هنا ايه in this essay I'm going to compare. لو قررت تكتب الاختلافات بس هتقول in this essay I'm going to contrast، مش هتقول compare. هتكتب على الاثنين تقول compare and contrast. We said compare means similarities, contrast means conclusion. Means differences. There are some similarities between the cooked food at restaurants and that at home. The first similarity is that both types of food are cooked whenever you want to eat. Another similarity is that both of them are delicious to eat. Okay, and now let's move to the differences. Although there are some similarities. على فكرة طالب اللي كاتب الموضوع ده، يعني يمكن اسلوب شوية ضعيف بس طالب اللي كاتبه it's okay. Although there are some similarities between fast food and home cooked meals, there are also two major differences. The first difference is that home cooked meals are healthier. معروف ان الاكل في البيت صحي اكتر. Healthier than the fast food meals. Another difference is that fast food can be cooked in a short time compared to that cooked at home. يعني the food you cook at home, it takes much more time than the fast food. Okay? And then the conclusion. All in all, the differences outweigh. Outweigh means more important. Outweigh خدتوا كلمة weigh يعني يزن. outweigh يعني تزن أكثر، يعني أكثر أهمية. Okay? The differences outweigh the similarities mainly when it comes to health. In my opinion, the home ممكن تحط رأيك في الآخر مين الأفضل. In my opinion, the home cooked food is better than fast food because it is healthy. Okay. انتوا شفتوا الموضوع ده؟ استنى خليني اوريكم شيء. شايفين very short اهو. Okay. Look, you can see how many words. This short writing is 200 words. 200 words. But how many words I ask you to write? 150. يعني shorter than this. Shorter than this writing. Okay, this writing is already short. Okay, but I want you to write only 150 words. ادي الموضوع اللي انتوا قرأتوه في من شوي. ادي الموضوع. اوكي، ده 200 كلمة. انتوا اللي مطلوب منكم بس 150 كلمة. يعني خلينا نشيل كده اوريكم حجم ال 150 كلمة عشان تتخيلوهم. اوكي، كده 170. كده 149 كلمة. فاست فود. كده 150 word. ادي 150 كلمة. ادي الرايتنج اللي مطلوب منكم بالحجم ده. introduction, paragraph, conclusion. عشان كده قلت لكم لا تستعجلوا في رد الفعل غير في النهاية عشان تعرفوا. اوكي.
دكتور،
يس.
متى بيكون ذي الرايتنج؟
يوم الخميس ان شاء الله.
عقب باكر يعني هاي الخميس؟
الخميس مو عقب باكر. عقب باكر لازم.
ذي
this
الأسبوع؟
yes this week. اوكي.
اوكي.
اصبري للاخر، لا تنزعجي، اصبري للاخر. اوكي، عشان اقول لك كلام حلو يعني.
تمام.
so wait. okay. Look at this. Jimmy and Evelyn have both written about their recent birthday parties. Read both paragraphs, then compare and contrast. Okay, I want you to read what Jim wrote and what Evelyn wrote, and trying to find what is similar and what's different. Okay, this they celebrated their birthday. So what's similar between both celebrations and what's different between both celebrations? Read the paragraphs and we will discuss the similarities and differences. Yes, I mean both have cake. Yes, that's right. Okay. Well, yes, both have birthday celebration. Said friends. Yes. Uh, let's talk first about similarities. What's similar?
The party.
Celebration. بس هنا لأن the first one didn't say a party, the second one said a party, but both have celebration. Okay. What's different? Let's say في شيء انتم ما قلتوه أعتقد. Okay.
The 1 hours.
Did they have presents? Did they have presents? Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
But
Why no?
Yes. Yes.
They have presents, but yes, the presents there are differences, but there were present here, small present, but there are presents here. Okay, one present. Okay, there is present. Okay, but we can use this in the differences. Yes. Okay. Let us say what's different. What are the differences?
activity.
The
Yes, I mean
small
friends.
presents.
Here there is huge present, here few
Small.
small presents. Okay. Huh? What else? There are. There was a cake, right?
Yes.
What about?
The second
Okay,
one,
Abdurrahman.
and ice cream.
Yes, this is the point. Here, cake and ice cream. But here, only
Cake.
cake. So there are differences. لازم الواحد يكون عنده critical eye. عين فاحصة. Look at the answers. Yes, Sheikh. Birthday, celebrating with friends, opening presents, cake. Evelyn, party. But Jim, horseback ride. Evelyn, cake and ice cream. Jim, picnic lunch. Okay. Games, one huge present. Here we have small presents. Okay. Let me do something first.